Do you know what you want?
No.
Okay.
No, I want tater tots and some drink.
I want ice cream. Do you want a medium chocolate shake or?
I'll take a medium. Oh my.
And thank you for choosing Sonic. This is John. May I help you?
Hi, can I have a small mozzarella stick?
Ma'am, what else can I get for you today?
That's all.
Yes, ma'am. It'll be $13.16. Thank you.
Okay.
Sounds so country.
What's up, my dudes? So today I'm super excited. I'm starting a new series on this channel, and it's essentially just my friends' testimonies, but in like a really fun way, kind of like carpool karaoke. But instead of karaoke, we're talking about Jesus and what Jesus has done in our lives. And so I'm super excited. The first person I'm bringing on here, his name is Namito. He's one of my dearest friends in my college ministry. He's graduating. This is finals week, and so he's about to graduate, which is really crazy. But he's just, he's kind of a new believer, didn't believe for most of his life, and so sharing his testimony is something that is really cool to me because I don't get to hear a lot of testimonies like his, and so I hope that y'all enjoy this and get something out of this in this series to come. I'm super excited to be able to do this with my friends. And just as a disclaimer, this was filmed safely in light of COVID-19 and etc. So yeah, let's get rolling. Have you ever like said your testimony like full out, like done it all, like said everything that happened, or like?
So you know Michael, right? Youth group.
Yeah.
Minister.
So did you give it to the youth group?
Yeah. So
Gotcha.
no, actually, I actually did that too. But when we went to, what was it called? It was like a whole camp for the youth group right before summer.
I don't know what it's called, but
I forget what it's called. But there was like a whole week camping thing. And then it canceled because of Corona.
Yeah.
But then the first 2 days we got there, so we're gonna stay there. And then Michael just told me to tell everyone, I guess. And then that's basically the only time I had to go like in depth. But I don't know.
The first time like I told somebody my testimony was very like I was in Mexico on a missions trip, and this older woman, like, we were just sitting talking, and she was like, so like what's your story? And I'd realized like nobody had ever asked me that before. And it was just like so like, I don't know, like to say all that out loud for like the first time ever, I was just like, wow, like there's a lot of like power in like saying that out loud. And like the fact that she asked me like,
was she like a Christian or no?
Yeah.
She was? Okay.
She was one of those people who like went every single year because her and her husband gave a lot of money to the organization. So they went every single year to Mexico. And, But like she was just super nice anyways.
Interesting.
But
I never thought about that. I don't like intentionally tell testimonies, I guess. It's always like, if it comes up in a conversation.
Yeah. And then I got like really into like watching them on YouTube because a lot of people like put their testimonies on YouTube, and there's a lot of like really crazy, really cool testimonies about like how people went from like dealing drugs to like serving the church or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
Like I just like to watch those. So
that's kind of cool. I've never looked it up. You might have to send me some.
Yeah, I mean just like, I don't know.
Look it up.
But
yeah, mine's not that extreme. It's not like I was doing drugs.
Yeah, mine's not either.
So you just wanted to ask people about their testimony and post it on YouTube because you enjoy it?
Yeah, I enjoy it, and like I think it's really cool to like hear other people's and just like the power in that there's like so many and everybody's unique.
Sure.
And I don't know, I just like think it shows like how cool God is to like hear people's testimonies.
Yeah, that is cool.
So I wanted to like have my friends sit in the car and do it with me.
Sure. And I'm the first one.
You're the first
Let's
one
go.
I thought of asking. We'll get more over time, but like I needed to get on like doing this one with you because
I'm about to leave.
You're about to leave.
Couple days.
So sad. So what is your story?
Okay.
Where did it start? Where did it lead? Where did it go? All of the above.
Ready? I have a mom and a dad.
Okay.
I got married, had kids.
Okay.
Okay, so my parents are not religious. Well, I'm Japanese, so they were also Japanese, full Japanese. And the Japanese religions are super weird. Where it's like we steal everything from China, right? So like the language and the religion also. And they have a Buddhist country, so we kind of stole that. The government didn't like it, so they decided to call it Shinto, make it our own, even though it's the same belief.
Okay.
So it's basically Buddhist belief, and it's almost like you know how like Jewish people would say like I'm Jewish, like
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Like culturally.
Yeah, culturally, not the belief part. That's basically how Japan is. They want
Okay.
that. So that's how my parents are. I never thought about like God or nothing like that.
Yeah.
And then get to high school. I did go to church because I got invited a couple times, but that's back when I couldn't even speak English. I'm like just there sitting down, making friends, trying to at least. And then got to college. Also got invited to another church. Didn't like it. And then back in sophomore year, that's when I started going to the church now because Brianna and Holly invited me. And after that, it's all just a year and a half of just like researching, reading the Bible, I guess, and talking to people.
Yeah.
Basically it. And nothing special, I feel like.
So, like, what do you think in that process, like, especially in that year when you were, like, doing all your research, like, how do you think, like, God was changing your heart? Like, what did you, like, is there something, like, you went from to where you are now? Like, how did Jesus change you, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. That's... I don't know. I don't think about that. Okay.
Like, mine, because, like, I was a very, like, anxious, stressed person, and I really struggled with that, and I felt that, like, by being involved in school to, like, the highest capacity, like, I was in every club there was, like, I thought that that was gonna fulfill me, and that I wouldn't be stressed, and that I wouldn't be anxious if I did that, if I just, like, could stop thinking about it and, like, just keep myself busy.
Okay.
But, like, when I, like, got baptized and, like, actually turned my life over to Jesus, I realized that, like, none of that worry that I had about my life was necessary, and, like, the only thing that could fulfill me was Jesus. So, like, I kind of went from, like, being this anxious, scared person to, like, being a very free person who, like, is not, I mean, like, I definitely get stressed, but it's not anywhere like it was in high school.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't think that was like a drastic change for me, honestly. I think I was just living life to live life. You know, you wake up in the morning, you have schoolwork to do, you have work to go to, and that, you know, you just go to bed after. So during the process, like before I got baptized, I think my foundational belief got really, really strong. Because why do you do good things? Like it does, you know, there's a stronger, like philosophy behind that, I think, right? But I was always like that, you know, give back to people, but I never understood why. That was just always what my parents told me to do, what, you know, society tells me to do.
You just wanted to be a good person because you knew it was right to be a good person.
Yeah. And also I look good, you know? I do good things, and I'm like, yeah, I'm a good person. But after that, I think I find like a purpose. That's the best way to describe it. Purpose and like meaning is in life. So that would say after like a year and a half of research, that's what I found. And then afterwards is what I'm still struggling, I feel like now, is it's like, to me, getting baptized isn't like, you know, you accept that you need help from God. It's almost like, it's just like, it's basically giving your life up. You know, it's no longer yours.
Yeah.
And that's what I still struggle with, is what you kind of said. I don't have like too much anxiety or something like that, at least as bad as other people, but just like giving up your life and just saying that it's not yours and it's all God's. It's not just like you need help from God.
Yeah.
You're trying to become the part of God, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's the process after baptism. I think that's still changing me a lot. So those are two big things for me.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I always think that your story is very interesting because, like, I grew up in a Christian household and I never knew what it was like to not have hope in God and like have this higher power, and my parents do have like a different relationship with God than I do.
Okay.
That's for sure. But like we always like prayed at the dinner table and etc. But like the relationship was never there until I got baptized, and that's when I realized like junior year of high school, like I found that I had this heart for like the people of the world who were in terrible situations and like in poverty and all these things.
Yeah.
And like I knew that I wanted to do something about it, but like I didn't know why. And like at first I was like, well, I'll look like a really great person if I do that. But then like as Jesus changed me, I realized like that's to serve his kingdom. Those are to serve his people. Like that's to show people love, and like
Sure.
that Jesus's love exists, and just like it gave me so much more purpose in that rather than just like doing to do it. And I feel like that purpose is so much more lasting than saying like, oh, I just want to do this to be a good person. Like you can give
Right.
that up at any time, but like when you're part of the kingdom of God, like it's a duty and it's a purpose, and
Yeah.
like you're never letting that go, and like that's always something that is gonna keep you like serving people for the rest of your life.
Sure.
So
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. And that's always like an inspiration for me though. Like looking back at who I am before and not being able to pray to God or ask God for anything, and just like relying everything on who you are and other people, is so many people that are living normal life is like that now. You know,
Yeah.
I found God and I have purpose now, but other people are where I was. So that, you know, encourages me to keep going every day. That's the biggest inspiration. I struggle with the idea of fearing God, and it makes perfect sense. But if this God is super powerful, that we can't even imagine it, but also all good at the same time in the equal level, like equal magnitude, what is there to be fearful about?
yeah.
And
It's not like the concept of fearing like being afraid of the dark. Like it's
Well, yeah,
not
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Like it's this like submission to him and like recognizing that he is Lord.
Yeah,
And
I think that's what it is, because
Yeah.
in Matthew maybe, but it's with the parable of like 3 different servants, when there's like one guy that leaves town, and then he gives like $10 or 10 whatever it is back then, and then 5 some currency, and then 1 to 1. The first guy makes 10 more, and ends up 20. Second guy makes 5 more, you know, and then the last guy says, I was too fearful that you're gonna punish me, so I
Yeah.
saved it. I didn't want to lose it.
Yeah.
So I think the message behind that, I still don't understand it fully, but I think it's supposed to be like, I don't think the motivation can be fear. I think
Yeah.
fear is like a subconscious feeling that you always get, because of how powerful God is too.
Obedience, like that's the biggest thing, that's the biggest word for me that
Yeah.
like I never really considered obedience to be important. Like I definitely saw like obey your parents and everything like that, because that was repeated to me throughout my childhood. But once I kind of hit last year and obedience became a really big theme that everybody was talking about and that I was reading about, I was like, it is really important to obey
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
learning in the Bible, and like that has changed
Okay, interesting.
a lot of my life, if that makes like so many things in my life have changed because of that. If that makes sense.
Like reading and sharing, everything
Yeah.
like that.
Well, even like my relationship with Dylan, the way that I approach like handling conflict with people, the way that I talk to my family about God, the way that I talk to other people about God, like I don't know, a lot of it has changed. I don't know, like, or even just like the way that I see myself in dance, and the way that I don't know, I just
Sure.
a lot of things. I couldn't name them all right now, but
Well, I think that's what UCC and Reach does a good job of, is the obey part, and also like you can be yourself, you know. Like I always feel that, because when I'm in the shower, I'm in it. When I'm driving and I have a good song, I'm in it. It's like in my own concert. But I think a lot of times I still feel that there's like a restriction almost when you go to church and worship, and you don't want to be like in the shower just going the whole time. But me having to not think about that and just being able to be who I am, even like on the leadership team.
Yeah.
When you share with someone, you don't have to follow this guideline that everyone
Yeah.
tells you to do, or read this Bible and follow this, this reading style that everyone has to follow. You just do your own. And of course, we're trying to, keep each other accountable, so we might do like a Bible plan together. But I really like how we can be ourselves, and I was always the weird one, and I don't know, I really like that about our church.
Do you think that
Namito.
having that community and having like friends that were believers and like just being immersed in that community constantly like was a big thing and like you actually coming to Christ?
Oh yeah, for sure. I would say Riley, Tyler, and Reagan. Back then, Riley was super weird, so then it was easier for me. And then Tyler wasn't like super weird, but she's like always herself again.
Yeah.
And then Reagan just so passionate, and those were like a really good a combination. And I think they were always trying to like look out for me a lot, and that helped a ton. Of course, there's like so many people that helped out.
Yeah.
But I would say so for sure.
Yeah, Tyler was a big role model for me, like,
Yeah.
especially last year. I looked up to her
Being
a
roommates?
lot, and
Yeah.
I feel like she just gave me the best advice about things. And
Mm-hmm.
shout out to Tyler.
Do we get to hear your testimony, or is it just mine?
I mean, I feel like I shared a little bit of it, but I don't know. I have a brain freeze.
It's so good. I can't even.
Okay, it's gone now.
You swallow that thing. You finish that so quick.
I was taking big bites. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it's also just like not my parents' fault by any means. I don't blame it on them, but like my parents were just very passionate about me getting a college degree and like being somebody who like achieved high and like strove
Sure.
like for everything that I could get, and like they wanted me to win awards, they wanted me to do my best, and so I always would in order to please them and to make them proud. And so like I had this just like mindset, and I still do, like I still see like a lot of remnants of it, of just like I have to make my parents proud, I have to make everybody around me proud of what I'm doing, and I want people to see me and recognize what I'm doing. And
Sure.
and so I was just doing too much, like just so much more than I needed to, and it wasn't helpful, and I was half doing things, and I just was living in this world where like I thought being busy and doing everything under the sun was going to fulfill me, but it wasn't. And
What
I don't know
what are
what
you
this
talking about?
car's
Like
doing.
clubs, school?
clubs,
That
like
kind of stuff?
I was my class president, I was in National Honor Society, I was in so many clubs. I was in FFA at one point, which is Future Farmers of America. I didn't want to be a farmer.
That's
I don't know why I did it. I just did it to put
Where is
it
that in your testimony?
I just did it to put it on my resume.
Sure,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
and like get all these things and all this validation from being recognized. And like at the end of the day, like, yeah, I won a few awards my senior year for being, you know, this kind of person, and that did feel good.
Yeah.
But like that was for the actual good things that I was doing. It wasn't because I was in so many clubs. And I would go to dance every single day after school, and I was in multiple AP classes, and I just like I was doing way too much. And like when I went to college, I don't know what this person is doing.
Hunk?
Maybe they want to get in the TCBY line.
Oh, probably. Oh, there's a car coming on the side. Okay, you were super busy in high school.
Yeah, and so I just like thought that was gonna fulfill me, and I thought that that was like my purpose in life was
Sure.
just to be a busy person. And then like I got baptized, and I started reading. I mean, like I got
When was
baptized
that in high school?
my senior year. I actually got
Okay.
baptized June 8th, I think, July 8th. I got baptized on my brother's birthday. That's why I
Oh,
remember.
nice.
And then I just, like, I started to read the Bible more throughout senior year of high school, and I got, like, plugged into a college ministry. And, like, when I was, like, 16, I really, like, wanted to start knowing God. And but, like, I begged my mom, like, take me to a church. But, like, I wanted us to go as a family, and I was, like, very reliant on my family for
Oh, you
my
never
faith.
went growing up?
I did, but we kind of stopped around middle
Okay.
school.
Huh.
And I think that is kind of why I lost my relationship with God and
Sure.
like fell into kind of
Like a
I don't know.
materialistic view.
Yeah.
Sure.
And anyways, so but yeah, so I was very reliant on my family to like find a church, and then I'll be fine if my family finds a church, and they never did. I mean, they did now. My mom,
Sure.
at least, has a church now after I went to college. But my senior year of high school, one of my friends that I worked with just, like, invited me because they had a youth service.
Okay.
And it was a church close to my house, so a lot of my friends from school went there. And I was like, okay, like, maybe I should just try this out. And I did. And, like, it did help a lot because it made me more comfortable, like, going to church, being around people my age rather than just like going to sit in the service by myself as a 17-year-old girl.
Right.
And so I just like kept going and like would not go a lot of times, but I also like got plugged into like a devotional group with a woman and then like a lot of my friends from school.
Okay.
And so that was really big in helping me just kind of like be more responsible about my faith and
Sure.
like actually learning about God and like investing in that relationship and reading the Bible and etc. And then I went on the mission trip and that was like a big turning point for me.
Sure.
Because I went there and saw what I wanted to do with my life, and I saw what God was doing in people, and I just saw the power of what God could do, because every time like they would talk about like something that their ministry has done, like they gave all the glory back to God. And so like I just really realized like the power that God has and like what he can do for this world. And so yeah, and then like after when we were going home, I sat next to my youth minister on the plane and like talked to him about going to college, like and he was like, you gotta find the right friends, you gotta find a church, you gotta find a place to like have community, because you are a believer and you need to be surrounded by people who like want to spur you on in that. And so I went to a few different churches my first year of college. And
Did you know anyone here?
No, I went into it like completely without knowing anybody.
You just went alone, like not even like roommates, nothing like that?
No.
Dang,
my roommate
bold.
was an atheist.
All right.
So,
I know this.
The first day I met her, I was like, so like, do you like Jesus? And she was like, no. I was like, okay. But like I went to like several different churches, and then I met Bailey at dance, and we just kind of like instantly connected, and then she started like bringing me to reach events and like hanging out with people. And so like I instantly just kind of had a friendship connection with the people in this college ministry. And so that like helped me stay involved. And honestly, like I was still involved in other college ministries until like spring semester of freshman year. But I don't know, it was that, and then, you know, I was going to whatever, and then I started tutoring, which made me feel like I was like really involved in something. And like doing something with the church. And then I was in a huddle, and I just got involved in like being a part of a church family and like the community of God and like his kingdom. And just like I don't know, UCC, like it's not, I think God's just like working through them in a very unique way, especially with college students. And I think a lot of people fail to realize that, because they don't, like the people who have come and gone, I've just noticed like haven't taken full advantage of what this church offers college students, in my personal opinion. And like I'm somebody who came in with a very clear idea of like what I wanted to get out of it, and I've gotten everything I needed and more out of it. And like I just, at this point in time, like I feel like I'm in college and I'm learning what I want to do with my career, but at the same time I'm being trained in a way to where I'm going to serve the kingdom of God. So it's like I'm in college, like in my career path, but also in like being a disciple and being a servant of the kingdom of God. And so
okay, so what do you have to say to, so you said some people might not be taking advantage
I just feel like
how good our church is. So what do you have to say to the freshmen that are coming in, that are watching possibly? I mean, they might be in the church, you know?
I would have to say that like community is so important, and like people want to get to know you, and people want to ask you questions about your life, and people want to serve you. That's a big thing too. Like people want to serve you. I live in our assistant college minister's house because they wanted to serve me as a college student. Like, and so just like leaning into that, and because when you're served by the kingdom of God, that makes you even more able and more just like you have more purpose and wanting to do that for other people, and especially as a college student, just like taking advantage of like the resources that you have in college, to be built up into somebody who can really make a difference in the real world, because I feel like in college you're not necessarily in the real world yet, and so like still taking the time to like be trained I think is really important. And like and I do think like our college ministry at University Church of Christ is very unique in like the way that we're doing things and talking about making disciples, and that's not always a big thing in college ministries, but just like not just going to church on Wednesday nights and Sundays, like don't just do that. Go to a devotional group, go to like hang out with your friends from church, like make a good community, and like because that's gonna help you grow so much more than anything. It's gonna help you grow.
I think that's why like UCC was super a good fit for me, is because I tend to try and be friends with everyone that I meet. And
I do too.
When there's like 30 people, that's not hard. You know, it's when you go to like Highlands, it's an impossible task.
Exactly.
But because how UCC is pretty small and super relational, and everyone there is of course super nice, you get to know them really well.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people who do go to bigger churches like are seeking this like ability to kind of do it without having any ties. And I understand that because I was a little bit like that in high school. I just wanted to like hear a message and like feel like I was doing my Christian duty and like I was building my relationship with God, but like that, it wasn't until like I actually like invested and like went to like a retreat with other girls from high school that I was like, there's more to this than just like showing up. And so just like recognizing that like taking the responsibility of like having people hold you accountable and having like a community that makes you responsible, if that makes sense.
That's very true. The accountability part is huge for me. I would do less than half of the work that I'm doing now if I didn't have anyone keeping me accountable. And like I didn't have a whole ton of accountability my freshman year. And I think like I grew a lot in my faith that year, just like because I was more independent in it and less reliant on my family. But then my sophomore year was even more so because like I lived with people who were keeping me accountable, especially Tyler and that. Like, and now like I live with my assistant college minister, so like there's no way that I don't have accountability like in every part of my life. So that makes sense. That was like a full-on inspirational video. I want to watch that when I wake up in the morning. Just put some background music.
But like that's why I asked you like if the community like helped you, because I think wherever you're at, if you get plugged into community, that's what's gonna help you grow. Because we as believers can't do this on our own. Like yes, it is your personal responsibility to like invest in your relationship with the Lord, but like you're not gonna like have that continuous desire to do it unless you're plugged into a good community. So like finding your roots wherever you are is super
Yeah.
important.
I 100% agree. I mean, what you take in is who you're gonna be. Like if you're watching porn all day, of course you're gonna be looking at girls the wrong way.
Yeah.
Same with friends, you know. So I think that was super inspiring because I always had really mature, at least like spiritually friends, and I didn't at all. So that helped out a ton for me, 100%.
So what can I make the title of this video from, like?
Okay.
Because like I wanted this to be like Namito's testimony from blank to blank.
Like start to finish, like it's
Yeah,
a
like
time frame?
from where you were before you met Jesus to where you are now, or where you are when you got baptized. Whatever.
Shoot, I wasn't an atheist. I would never claim that. I wasn't even agnostic, I feel like, because I didn't even care about that stuff. It'd be like, I don't know, I'm not the best. Maybe like no meaning to meaning.
Meaningless to purposeful?
That could work.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. Well.
How do you get out of this car? There you go. It was fun.
Yeah, it was. It
Am I
was a
still
good
recording?
talk. Yeah, we're still
Oops.
recording. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.